Hello, BookTube. Well, it happened once again. Once again, my mail carrier arrived at night, well after I had stopped looking for him. And my surly houseboy put the mail aside, and once again, I didn't notice it, didn't even think about it. And at midnight, of course, I turn into a pumpkin every night. At midnight, I commence with reading. I turn off everything. I close myself and my little puppy up in this room and do nothing but read, usually until first light. And first light is just starting, and we just went out, Frida and I just went out, and I noticed mail, so I thought we'd do a Sunday mail haul. It doesn't often happen. Maybe it will now often happen if this guy keeps showing up late. But one way or another, we've got a little stack of packages here on a Sunday. How fun is that? So let's see if we have anything that's worth a surprise. It's weird to have a mail haul on a Sunday. I don't know where the bean is right now. She's in this little room somewhere. She'll probably want to go out. What have we got here? There you are. Do you want this? Let's see here. Oh, okay. What have we got here? Is this... This comes out in February. From the folks at Pegasus Books. This is Men of Air, the courage and sacrifice of Bomber Command in World War II. A fraught subject, morally and logistically. The winter of 1944 was the most dangerous time to be a combat airman in RAF Bomber Command. The chances of surviving a tour were as low as 1 in 5, and morale had finally hit rock bottom. In Men of Air, a comprehensive history of the air war that year, Kevin Wilson describes the most treacherous period of the Battle of Berlin and the unparalleled losses over Leipzig and Nuremberg. Bomber combat crews faced a wide array of perils as they flew over German territory in 1944. Bursts of heavy flak could tear the wings from their planes in a split second. Flaming bullets from German fighter planes could ignite their fuel tanks, cut their oxygen supplies, or destroy their engines. Thousands of young men were shot, blown up, or thrown from their planes 5 miles above the earth, and even those who returned faced the subtler dangers of ice and fog as they tried to land on battlefield aircraft back home. Okay, so this is the story of that. It's something that we've seen on this channel many times before, where new books come out on various slivers of World War II. I read them all. I like a lot of them. I've read a lot about Bomber Command, so we'll see where this one stacks up. That's a great way to start, though. Wonderful. History. All right, so what is this next one? She's sitting up, but she won't jump. You're supposed to jump, baby. There you go. All right, what's this next one? Oh, my. Oh, my. Okay. Okay, so this is... from Counterpoint. This is by Stuart Kells, and it's called Shakespeare's Library, Unlocking the Greatest Mystery in Literature. Millions of words of scholarship have been expended on the world's most famous author and his work, and yet a critical part of the puzzle, Shakespeare's Library, is a mystery. For 4 centuries, people have searched for it in mansions, palaces, and libraries, in riverbeds, sheep pens, and partridge coops, and in the corridors of the mind. Yet no trace of the bard's manuscripts, books, or letters has ever been found. The search for Shakespeare's library is much more than a treasure hunt. Knowing what the bard read informs our reading of his work, and it offers insight into the mythos of Shakespeare and the debate around authorship. The library's fate has profound implications on literature, for national and cultural identity, and for the global Shakespeare industry. It bears on fundamental principles of art, identity, history, meaning, and truth. Okay, but it still hasn't been found. So what is this all about? This unfolding the search like the mystery that it is, acclaimed author Stuart Kells follows the trail of hunters, taking us through different conceptions of the library and of the man himself. Okay, so, well, you can certainly do that. You can certainly build from Shakespeare's work an idea of what books he must have had regular access to, and in what editions, and in what translations, or not translations, in the case of a few books that didn't have any English translations when he was using them. Okay, so who is Stuart Kells when he's at home? He's very young. He's an author and historian. His history of Penguin Books Penguin and the Lane brothers won the prestigious Ashurst Business Literature Prize. And he wrote a book called The Library, a Catalogue of Wonders, which I think I not only read but reviewed. But I didn't know he wrote a history of Penguin. Penguin and the Lane brothers. I want that book. I wonder if Counterpoint has access to it. I'll have to find out. Okay, all right. Well, I'll have to wait until tomorrow. I'll have to wait until it's business hours again. But this comes out in April, and it's just going to be an investigation into what Shakespeare's Library might have been like. Don't worry, you haven't missed the 4-inch banner headline that it has been found. I don't think it ever existed myself, so we'll see what conclusions this author draws from it. Not the first book on that subject, but I always find it fascinating. So let's see what this next one is. Are you up for some cardboard? Little Beanie Pooh? No. All right. Oh, okay. All right, this is from Oxford University Press. This comes out next year, I'm sure. Yeah, this comes out in March. This is The Next Mormons, How Millennials Are Changing the Latter-day Saints Church, by Jana Reese. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has maintained an impressive retention rate when compared with other religions in the 21st century, especially among young people brought up in the faith. Compared with other religious identified teens, Mormon youth are more likely to hold religious beliefs similar to their parents, share their faith with others, pray regularly, and discuss religion in their families. However, things have started to change as American millennials, the generation born in the 1980s and 90s, my own time, have been leaving in unprecedented numbers. And this book is about that. This book is about the 21st century struggles of the Mormon faith. Okay, great. I don't know a whole lot about that, so it'll be teaching me something. Let's see what this next one is. The Bean has already expressed interest in this package, so you can have this. There you go. Okay. All right. Well, if I don't know much about the Mormon faith, I certainly know a lot less about this subject. This is going to appeal to one of you a lot more than it does me. This is called Let's Go So We Can Get Back, a memoir of recording and discording with Wilco, etc., by Jeff Tweedy. I don't know what any of that means. It's praised by Salon.com as one of the most daring songwriters of his generation. Wilco's frontman, Jeff Tweedy, I guess Wilco must be a band of some kind, has been touring and recording over 20 years. Few bands have inspired as much devotion as the Chicago rock band Wilco. Okay, so it's a Chicago rock band. I'm learning more all the time here. And it's thanks to, in large part, to Tweedy, the band's singer, songwriter, and guiding light. But while his songs and music have been endlessly discussed and analyzed, Jeff has rarely talked directly about himself, his life, or his artistic process. In this long-awaited memoir, he candidly and compellingly writes about his past, his songs, and the people who have inspired him. Okay, all right, so this is a finished copy, so it should be soon. Yeah, this comes out in mid-November. One of you will certainly know more about this than I do, and could therefore write about it, perhaps. I am an editor at Open Letters Review. We are always happy to take new reviewers, and I doubt that I can get up to speed fast enough to do a competent review of this thing, and which is why I didn't request it. But if one of you wants to try your hand, just let me know. Sing out in the comments field. One of you probably knows everything there is to know about this Wilco, the Wilcos, or whatever they are. Well, anyway, let's do this next one. It's nice and thick, nice and heavy, probably a finished copy of something big. Let's hope it's not more rock and or roll. So that leaves Steve a little out of the loop. Oh, here we go. Oh no, it's two books. Very good. What have we got here? Oh, good. Okay. This comes out in the spring. This is The Poison Bed by Elizabeth Fremantle. And it is Elizabethan historical fiction. So we are back in Steve's territory here. What have we got here? A marriage, a murder. One of them did it. Which of them will die for it? In the autumn of 1615, scandal rocks the Jacobean court when a celebrated couple, Robert and Frances Carr, are imprisoned on suspicion of murder. Frances is young and captivating from a notorious family, She has been rescued from an abusive marriage by Robert and is determined to make a new life for herself, whatever the price. Robert is one of the richest and most famous men in the kingdom. He has risen from nothing to become one of the country's most powerful men, but to get back to the top you cannot help making enemies. Some believe she is innocent. Others think her wicked or insane. He claims to have no knowledge of the murder. The king suspects them both, though it is his secret at stake. Now a man is dead, and someone must pay with their life. All right, so usual back cover boilerplate, but in a big... it sounds like this is going to be... not Elizabethan. I skewed that a little early. This is going to be later than that. Great, because you don't see as much historical fiction in Jacobean kind of times. Wonderful. Okay, so I like this author very much, so I look forward to this book. And then the next one is something I requested. Can't wait to get to this. This is also in the spring. This is in March, and it's a big new biography of Louis XIV by Josephine Wilkinson. Louis XIV hasn't had a big soup to nuts biography in quite some time, so let's see here. This stylish and incisive narrative presents the readers with a fresh perspective on one of the most fascinating kings in European history. Louis XIV's story has all the ingredients of a Dumas classic. Legendary beginnings, beguiling women, court intrigue, a mysterious prisoner in an iron mask, lavish court entertainments, the scandal of a mistress who was immersed in the dark arts, and a central character who is handsome and romantic, but with a frighteningly dark side to his character. Okay, so we'll see. We'll see if that's back cover boilerplate as well, or if this author really does go at Louis XIV from a kind of Three Musketeers viewpoint. That would be fun in its own way, although maybe a little less serious. We'll see. I'm not going to be getting to any of these things until the new year. So, and then we'll do this last one. Also heavy. Could be multiple books. We shall see. Oh no, it's not. It's one huge book. Oh. What is this? Oh, fantastic. Oh my, okay. All right, well, this is great. This comes out any day now, and this is a paperback of something that I never got. I never got an advanced copy. I never got a finished copy. I had to read it from the library. Like a schmo. Oh my, wow. Okay, well, this has blurbs on it. This is the paperback, and it has blurbs from Ricardo Muti, Francis Ford Coppola, Placido Domingo, James Levine, Daniel Barenboim, can you guess? It's Tuscany. It's Harvey Sachs' huge biography of Tuscany, now out in paperback. Fantastic. Oh my, okay. Well, I didn't have a copy. I didn't keep the library copy, so now I finally have a copy. This comes out in paperback from Liverite any day, probably Tuesday. This is very nice, very welcome. Something that I really like, so I'm glad to have it now. Wonderful. Okay, well that's it then. That is a Sunday morning mail haul. Geez, don't get used to these. This is the biography of Tuscany by Harvey Sachs. Then Louis XIV, a new biography of Louis XIV, sounds very boisterous. Then The Poisoned Bed, Jacobean murder mystery. Jeff Tweedy, It Let's Go So We Can Get Back. That might be him old and this him young. No idea. I couldn't pick him out of police lineup. Then The Next Mormons, about the 21st century Mormon church and the challenges of membership that it faces. Shakespeare's Library by Stuart Kells, about the books that Shakespeare might or must have used. Latest speculation on that subject. Can't wait. And then Men of Air by Kevin Wilson, about Bomber Command, which I hope does justice to the moral complexities of Bomber Command. We'll see. Sometimes, especially in the 40s and 50s, British histories of Bomber Command ignored the moral implications completely of whole wings of bombers being tasked with bombing known civilian targets. Let's hope that this book doesn't ignore it. You can still tell a rousing story without ignoring things like that. So here's hoping that it happens. One way or another. We'll know all of these things next year when I get to these books. So in the meantime, I will wrap this up, but this won't be the last that you see me today. Once the sun is up in the sky, we'll talk plenty. Thank you, BookTube.